come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to base hit. Justice has scored a tying run. Green to the plate. And he is saved. Saved at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for the Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run. Rackett throws. There's a left side. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run! The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie. There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earthquake.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. It's hit back. 1 out.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Free-for-All Friday edition of the program on finally a gorgeous day again here in the upstate after about 3 days of rain and cold and overcast and haze and everything else. Now we just have a little bit of cold, but it's brilliant sunshine and mostly blue skies. Beautiful Friday heading into a nice weekend for some college football. I'm Dan Scott. That is Forrest Stulting. Also a nice weekend for some basketball. But basketball's played in a temperature-controlled environment.
No problems there. It'll be a lot of fun watching the college basketball tip off this weekend. Yeah, a full slate of games today and tomorrow and Sunday. So sit back, relax, and enjoy basketball and football throughout the entire weekend.
Yeah, men's and women's seasons opening. There are games as early as 11 o'clock this morning. I know the Clemson women are opening over at Little John Coliseum at 11 o'clock this morning.
Early start.
Yeah, our focus here obviously is Furman and Bob Jones, a crosstown club from right here in Greenville, Bob Jones University, NCAA Division II school. They will be here at Timmons Arena to tip off the season tonight at 7 o'clock as the Bob Ritchie era officially begins. He did coach one game as the interim coach at the end of last year. But the Bob Ritchie era officially tips off tonight, and boy, he's got a roster loaded for bear, as they say.
And that's funny because we're playing the Bob Jones Bruins.
Right.
So,
hey, very good.
Right, yeah, I'm on top of it today, Dan.
Yeah, some hanging around me is finally starting to rub off on you a little bit.
You got that right.
On the show today, we'll talk a little bit about that opener tonight, and I hope that you'll make your way out to Timmons Arena as part of just a huge weekend here on Furman's campus with the Southern Conference soccer semifinals and finals on campus beginning tonight.
Yep,
and
3:30.
Yeah, actually this afternoon. Yeah, 3:30, and then of course Furman and the Citadel here tomorrow. In college football action with the Paladins looking for win number 7 in a row and 7 overall on the season and continuing that march toward the playoffs. So, man, it's going to be a busy, busy weekend. To that end on the show today, we'll be talking again about Furman basketball tonight. We've got the second half of our college football picks coming up in just a little bit, where Forrest will dangle some upsets out there and see if he can get me to bite. And then David Cobb is going to join us. Of course, he's the color analyst on the radio broadcast of Furman football with me. And he was a member of the 88 championship team. He lives in Charleston, which is a point of contention for him being down there amongst Citadel fans.
That's got to be tough for him.
Yeah. We're going to get his thoughts, especially since they've won 4 of the last 5.
Yes.
So we're going to get his thoughts on the rivalry as it was, as it stands now. He'll be joining us at about 10:25, and then Scott Keeler via phone today instead of in studio in the final segment of the program to talk week 2 of high school football playoffs in the upstate. So we've got a busy show for you today, and we're very happy to have you along with us. As we always do, we take a look at the calendar, awards, anything like that going on right here at Furman at the very top of the program to give the athletes and programs here a little bit of coverage and love, something they don't get anywhere else on a daily basis. And then we move into the broader spectrum of the world of sports. It's going to be kind of concentrated today a lot, though, on college football and more Furman stuff. But in any event, what do we have coming up?
All right. The men's basketball team, Devin Sidley was named to the Lou Henson Watch Award list. And that's the top mid-major player in all of college basketball. And they have a game tonight, as Dan mentioned, at 7 o'clock at Timmons Arena. So come out and support your Paladins. The men's soccer program, Dylan Rowe, a senior, was named to the COSIDA Academic All-District team. He has a 3.75 GPA, so congrats to him. And that tournament kicks off 3:30 today between ETSU and Mercer, and then Furman plays at 6 against UNC Greensboro, with the championship game scheduled for 2 o'clock on Sunday at Stone Soccer Stadium. So come out and support your Paladins, hopefully on Sunday as well. The volleyball team, they will play Sanford tonight at 7 and Mercer tomorrow at 6 in Alley Gym. The women's basketball team, they play CFC Sunday at 2 as well. And then tennis, he'll compete at the FSU Invitational in Tallahassee Friday to Sunday. And the cross-country team, they will run at the Southeast Regionals this weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. They need to finish in the top 4 to advance to the NCAA championships in Louisville, Kentucky. I think it was either next week or the week after that. So hopefully they can reach the NCAA championships for back-to-back years on the men's side and get back there on the women's side as they did 2 years ago.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
What do you have for trivia today?
All right. It's going to be Furman Citadel as usual.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't even have to look at his iPad. He's ready to roll.
Yeah. What is Furman's longest winning streak against the Citadel in the history of the two schools?
The longest winning streak in this rivalry from a Furman standpoint.
Yep.
The most games Furman has won consecutively in this series.
I'll say it's longer than the Citadel's longest streak, too. So
yeah. All right, well, there you go. If you have a guess, leave it in the comments section of the platform in which you're watching. Could be Facebook Live, could be Twitter / Periscope, or if you're listening on TuneIn Radio or the campus FM station, you can just leave it, send it to us via tweet at Dan Scott Show, and we'll announce the answer to the question at the end of the program. Before we go to our first break, just a reminder, as always, about the Atlanta Bread Company. I can't stress enough how thankful we are that they have come on board, come alongside us here as we've started this venture, and just about the year mark now, little maybe 13 months or so, we've been doing this consistently on a day-in, day-out basis, and they've been with us the whole way. And it's been a big blessing to us, and I can promise you the food is fantastic, but the people there are even better. And that's one of the reasons that I'm so happy on a daily basis to encourage you to go see them, because you're going to get treated just ridiculously well when you visit the Atlanta Bread Company. And then, by the way, there is the food. I was looking this morning because we talk about cold weather, the hot sandwiches and hot soups and chili and everything. But if you're someone who likes hot drinks, and I don't like all what some people call the frou-frou drinks, the latte, mocha, this, that, and the other. That's not up my alley. I like coffee, and I like hot chocolate, which they have.
That'll do, Dan.
But they have all that other stuff too.
Oh, so many more.
It's a huge list of hot drinks that they have available there. So whatever your taste is, they've got it. And on days like this and what we're going into, in fact, from yesterday's weather forecast, there are parts of the upstate, including parts of Greenville County and Spartanburg County, that are going to have their first freeze warning of the year tonight.
Wow.
So think hot coffee and hot drinks and hot food at Atlanta Bread Company. Cherrydale Plaza, right down the road here from campus. Please tell them that you heard about them right here on the show. We'll take that break. We'll come back, and we will get rolling right after this on the Dan Scott Show Friday edition. Don't go away.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today.
Hey, Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingles, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingles, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show. "12 minutes past the hour as we continue here on this edition of the Dan Scott Show. I'm Dan. That is Forrest. We're very happy to have you with us. Just a quick reminder about the Walk a Mile Project, which is a nonprofit organization based in Anderson that their deal is working and doing missions work, and largely in places like Guatemala, where they go and they are building homes for the homeless, finding clean drinking water sources, which is such a big problem in a lot of countries, as you know. So they do a lot of fantastic work, but they also equip other churches, other individuals to do the same thing. So if you'd like more information, if you're interested in helping in one way or another, you see on the screen the Walk a Mile Project, the website www.thewamproject.org. Visit that. Heath Burdett and the folks there would be ecstatic to talk to you and figure out a way for you to get involved. All right, let's get rolling.
Let's do it. College football upset alerts. That does not mean the teams will be upset, but just
dangling it out there.
I guess siren's going to go off in most of these teams' locker rooms. The first game, number 2 Alabama versus number 16 Mississippi State. The Crimson Tide's defense is reeling this week. They'll be missing 4 players on that defensive side of the football. The key here will be, can Nick Fitzgerald of Mississippi State take advantage of a wounded Alabama defense? As we've seen all year, whenever Fitzgerald goes, the Bulldogs go. In their 2 losses to Auburn and Georgia, Fitz has rushed for 56 and 47 yards respectively. And I think we will see the same thing this week. Alabama stomps the Bulldogs.
You know, it's 5 years ago today, as a matter of fact, that a Johnny Manziel-led Mississippi State team upset number 1
5
Alabama.
years ago to the day.
5 years ago
Wow.
today that Mississippi State did. And you could look at that and say, well, maybe the football gods are smiling on Mississippi State. Johnny Manziel ain't there. Mississippi State is having, okay. But they're not.
Yeah.
They're not Alabama.
No way.
Even beaten up. I mean, if this were Georgia, Alabama, we'll have maybe a different conversation. But and trust me, I'd love to see Mississippi State win the game. I just don't think they will. Alabama's on the road, so it kind of puts them in that, at least in that upset category. Take the Tide.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too much of a big wave for the Tide this week. I think the Bulldogs, they don't have enough on defense to stop that powerful running game of the Crimson Tide, so we'll see come this weekend. But I think it's going to be all smiles in Alabama once again.
Well, we'll find out. You know, I will say this,
yes, sir.
And going off of Scott Keeler's comment on Facebook, he said that based on Mississippi State's comeback win over 1-8 Coastal Carolina last week, he'd say Alabama by 35, and that makes sense. But let us not forget that earlier this year, LSU lost to Troy.
That is true.
And then bounced back, and who did they beat the next week that they shouldn't have beaten?
Florida, maybe?
Yeah, it was going to Florida. Now, that's maybe not the big win, as big a win as it looked like then, but under the circumstances. But still, I don't think that Mississippi State's got enough bullets in the gun to win this game.
I think Alabama's going to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Second game.
I'm sorry, Johnny Manziel was at Texas A&M. It was 5 years ago that Texas A&M beat Alabama.
Oh, excuse me.
So,
okay, yep.
Not
Mississippi
Mississippi State.
Yeah.
But it's still, it was a huge upset. They were
Yes.
number 15 at the time and beat them 29-24. The alliteration was right. The team was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, go ahead.
Game number 2. Number 20 Iowa versus 8 Wisconsin. This will be the Badgers' first real test of the year. And if this game was in Iowa, it would be a sure win for the Hawkeyes. But the game will be played in Wisconsin. For me, the key here will be, can Wisconsin pass the ball? They'll be without their 2 top wide receivers this week, and that leaves them with a group of wide receivers that only have 31 total career receptions to their names. So look for Iowa to stack the box and steal another win from a top 10 team in the Big Ten, Dan. I'm picking the Hawkeyes here.
You know that Wisconsin's overall ranking in the Sagarin ratings is like, I think, number 56, which speaks to the
56.
Yeah, which speaks to the strength of schedule.
My goodness, that's terrible.
You know who's number 68 in the Sagarin ratings?
Hawkeyes?
Strength of schedule wise? Alabama.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, Dan. I think that Florida State team that they played the first week is a lot different than the team they played, than that Florida State team that they played, that's played all year essentially. So I think that's tough to.
Yeah, Alabama's strength of schedule is going to improve here in the next couple of weeks. But
yes.
right now,
yeah.
in the rankings, they're 68th.
Yeah,
behind that far 12. I think 12 spots behind Wisconsin. You know, Iowa is coming. It was Iowa or Iowa State?
Iowa.
Iowa is. Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Iowa's coming off of that emotional home win over Ohio State last week. Just blitzed them. Woodshed, Iowa.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh yes.
They're not the same team on the road, and can you maintain that kind of emotional high going on the road? I'm going to say no. I'll take Wisconsin to win this one.
Even without their 2 wide receivers?
Yeah. I'll take Wisconsin to win it.
All right. Bold pick there, Dan. But not really.
Not really. taking the higher ranked team at home is not a bold pick.
Number 9, Wisconsin versus Stanford.
Wisconsin.
Washington, excuse me.
Okay.
Washington.
Wisconsin's playing a split squad game.
Holy cow. One of them's got to lose that one. Number 9, Washington. The Huskies will play the Stanford Cardinals this weekend. The Huskies is another football team that hasn't really played a ranked opponent all year. They have not seen someone like Bryce Love, the great running back for the Stanford Cardinals, as well as strong safety Jalen Reed, who has 5 INTs, and that's second in the nation. And that duo will send the Huskies into hibernation. I'm picking the Cardinal.
I'm taking Washington. So
fair enough.
So
any explanation for that?
Yeah, I think Washington's going to win. That's why I'm taking
them. All right, fair enough.
No real pretend insight or anything. I just think Washington will win the game. So yesterday we were the same on all 3 picks.
Yep.
Today we differed on 2?
Yep.
Okay.
I picked Alabama. You picked Alabama. I picked Iowa. You picked Wisconsin. I picked Stanford. And you picked the Huskies.
Picked Washington. Well, let's see what happens.
Yes, sir. It's going to be fun.
All right. We got 5 minutes to get through things 2 and 3. What we got?
All right. The Silver Slugger Awards were announced last night for the AL and the NL. We'll start with the AL. Here's a note about the AL, too. 6 of 9 of these players won it for the first time, so a little bit of a changing of the guard, if you will, in the American League ranks. At catcher, Gary Sanchez wins his first. First base, Eric Hosmer wins his first. Second base, no surprise here, Jose Altuve wins his 4th and 4th straight Silver Slugger Award. And since 2010, there's only been 2 second basemen to win that award, Dan. Who's the other second baseman to win the Silver Slugger Award since 2010?
In the American League?
Yeah, there's only been 2. in 7 years to win it. And Altuve has won 4 of them.
Won in the last 4 in a row,
Yeah.
so that means the other whoever it was won the previous 3.
That's good
in a
math
row.
there, Dan.
Yeah, hey.
My goodness.
And I have no idea, and we have to hurry. So let's.
Robinson Cano. All
Okay.
right. Francisco.
Don't you know?
Francisco Lindor at shortstop hits his first. Jose Ramirez at third. That's his first. The 3 outfielders are Aaron Judge, his first. George Springer, his first. Justin Upton, his third. His first in the AL. He won 2 with the Diamondbacks in the NL. And DH Nelson Cruz wins his second. His first one coming at the outfield spot. In the NL, you only have 2 of 9 first-time winners, and one of them is at the pitcher spot. Catcher Buster Posey, he wins his 4th. Kind of surprised by that one a little bit. Paul Goldschmidt wins his 3rd, and that was probably by far the toughest race in all the Silver Slug Awards this year. You just have a gauntlet of great first basemen in the National League.
Can I? This is where I'm going to interrupt.
Sure.
Average: Joey Votto 320, Paul Goldschmidt 297. Home runs 36 apiece. On base percentage: Joey Votto 554, Paul Goldschmidt 504. OPS: Votto 1.032, Goldschmidt 966. WAR: Votto 9.6, Goldschmidt 6.9.
I can't argue with that.
And the managers and coaches voted Paul Goldschmidt.
I can't argue with that, Dan. I can't do it.
When the guys in the dugouts aren't paying attention, then you got problems. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, sir. At second base, second, third, and short all remain the same over the past couple of years. At second base, Daniel Murphy wins his second and second straight. At shortstop, same for Corey Seager, his second and second straight. Third base, Nolan Arenado wins his 3rd and 3rd straight, so he's just having a tremendous start to his career. In the outfield, you have Charlie Blackmon, his 2nd and 2nd straight, Stanton his 2nd overall, and Marcell Ozuna winning his 1st. So he's having a breakout year with the glove and the bat as he won a Gold Glove in left field. And pitcher Adam Wainwright wins his 1st.
All right, there you go. The Silver Sluggers. So the awards continue. I guess next is Rookie of the Year?
That's right.
Next week?
Monday, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, what else we got?
College basketball Hall of Famer Bob Knight, former coach of Indiana and Texas Tech, recently said that he had some major problems with John Wooden, the Hall of Fame basketball coach from at UCLA that won 10 national titles during his time at UCLA. Going to read you a quote here, if it'll load. Let's see here. Come on, iPad. Well, it's not loading right now.
Just paraphrase.
It's essentially saying that he did not like the way he recruited and that the way he allowed Sam Gilbert to essentially control recruiting and did not have any control over Sam Gilbert. He respected him as a person and as a coach and how he coached his team, but he did not like how he allowed Sam Gilbert to run amok and do whatever he wanted in the recruiting game because he thought that Wooden did not really clamp down at all against Sam Gilbert and allowed him to break all kinds of rules in the recruiting process.
He's basically accusing him of cheating.
Yes.
Okay.
Plain and simple, yeah.
I've seen a little bit of that, and there are a lot of people who are, taking shots at Bobby Knight now because he said that. But one thing we know about Bobby Knight, he's going to say what's on his mind.
Oh, you got that right. And I like it.
Yeah, whether you agree or disagree with him, and he doesn't care what you think about what he says. There's the old thing too about not speaking ill of the dead. That's so, and that's probably where I have the biggest issue with it. But Bobby Knight is who he is.
Yep.
So take it from there.
And just to reiterate, he did say that he liked Wooden as a person and he admired his coaching skills, but he did not like the way he handled recruiting. And same issues as today, a person connected with the team doing the alleged dirty deeds. So
plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly. Things have not changed even in 70 years, Dan.
No, the more they change, the more they stay the same.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to break. When we come back, we will hyper-focus in again on the Furman Citadel rivalry. David Cobb will join us via phone. As if your ears don't bleed enough on Saturday afternoons on the radio, we're going to add to it now with the two of us plus Forrest together for the next segment. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we will be back right after this.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimmented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. It is 10:28, and we are back on this Friday edition of the program. Dan Scott and Forrest Stulting here. Good to have you along with us. Beautiful day. We've got a lot going on as we've been detailing here with basketball starting up tonight, the SoCon soccer semifinals, men's soccer semifinals, starting at 3:30 this afternoon and culminating with the championship game on Sunday.
Yes, sir, 2 o'clock.
So all that going on. And then tomorrow, of course, it is the renewal of the oldest rivalry in the Southern Conference, Furman and the Citadel getting together here on the turf at Paladin Stadium. El Cid has won 4 of the last 5 in this series, and for our next guest, it really chaps his hide for a couple of reasons. Number one, he is a member of the 88 National Championship Furman team. And number two, he lives in Charleston amongst all those bellhops. He is David Cobb, the analyst on our football broadcast, joining us here on the show today. David, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. Great to talk to you, and good morning, Forrest.
Good morning, David. Good to hear from you.
What's it like being a Paladin in cadet country, especially when they've won 4 of the last 5?
You know, I like to joke with some of my buddies down here that the only reason why it's a rivalry is because they win every once in a while, because, you know, all of the guys who are sort of my age and a little bit older, Furman dominated this series. And if you look at the overall record, Furman has clearly dominated the series. And the Citadel has just made it interesting in the last couple of years. But, you know, I was actually having dinner last night with a couple of older Citadel graduates, and one of the things we always talked about is how this rivalry 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago for us old guys was so much more of a rivalry, I think, than it is now for the younger generation, simply because it was the traditional last game of the regular season. And it really was, and you can, and a lot of the older guys remember some of the hijinks that went on back when we didn't have social media and everything wasn't recorded and posted online. And it's just a great rivalry. It's a great rivalry for the state. It's a great rivalry for the Southern Conference.
Yeah, Clay Hendricks told me a story or two yesterday before we started recording the pregame show about some of the things that may or may not have happened down in Charleston during the time that he was a player here, and maybe even in the early coaching days. But we've talked to Brian Bratton on the show this week. We had Hunter Reed in here yesterday, and generationally, the rivals changed. Brian said that they kind of looked at everybody as their rival because they were so good and they were getting at everybody's best shot. But for his generation, probably more so Appalachian State and Georgia Southern, who, by the way, lost again last night. They're 0-9.
It's beautiful.
You hate that, don't you?
Yeah.
That tears you up, doesn't it?
It's just I'm going to have a moment of silence here before too much longer. For the current generation, it's probably more Wofford, because Wofford has gotten good, and it carries over into basketball as well. But for that certain generation of Furman fans, the one and only true rival is the Citadel. And boy, when you can start talking to that group and start hearing some of the stories, it's really fun just to sit back and let them go.
Oh, it's one of the things that I remember when we did our LSU trip about 4 or 5 years ago. I had not ever met. And I can't remember what his name was. His nickname was Bear. But, the guys, we had dinner on Thursday night before the game, and he lives in Florida but had come over to New Orleans for the dinner with a couple of the older guys. But the first Southern Conference championship Furman won, he's playing defensive tackle. It's at Serene Stadium, 1978. They're playing the Citadel. Stump Mitchell is the tailback for the Citadel. Art Baker's the coach for the Citadel, having just left Furman. And it's 4th and goal from the 1, last play of the game. If Furman stops them, they win the conference. If the Citadel scores, they win the conference. And Bear goes in as a substitute because the starter was hurt, and everybody was saying, well, where they're going to run the ball. And he came through, made a great play, was part of it, made the tackle. Everybody gang tackled, and every once in a while you'll see online that old grainy film from back then. But, that's the play that catapulted Furman towards the reign and the dominance that Furman had in the late 70s and 80s and through the 90s. And, my sophomore year, we played down in Charleston. My senior year, my sophomore year, we beat the fool out of them. I think we actually burned the lights off the scoreboard. Because when that was one of those games where the Citadel at the time, Charlie Taft had just started. I think it was his first year at the Citadel. They were 5-5. This was going to be a chance for them to have first winning record in a number of years. So they had built it up as a big, big game. And we came in and we had played Florida State the week before and came in. We were 6-4, if I remember correctly. I think that team finished 7-4, or the Furman team. But we came in and just dominated them, beat the fool out of them. And I think we scored 50-something on them. And then my junior year, the championship year of '88, we played in Greenville, and it was for the Southern Conference Championship, and it was probably the greatest atmosphere I've experienced at a Furman home game. We had the sellout crowd. The Citadel brought a great group of crowd. They brought the cadets. It's kind of like it's going to be tomorrow. It was about a 50-degree day, sunny, maybe a little hazy, but we came and we won that game 30-17 and won the conference, and then went on to win the national championship. And then my senior year, probably one of the more enjoyable afternoons we played down in Charleston. It was the first home game for the Citadel following Hurricane Hugo at Johnson Haygood. They had played a couple of home games in Columbia after the hurricane, and you drive through and you see the devastation that Charleston had suffered a couple of months earlier. The Citadel had a pretty good team, and we played as probably a complete, well-rounded game all season, and I think we've been like 44-17 or something like that. And I still remember late in toward the game being actually playing in the game, and one of the kids for the Citadel, who was a freshman, was from Sumter and was actually the first kid in about a decade who had scholarship offers to Furman and the Citadel, and for some reason picked the Citadel over Furman. And going down the field toward the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter, I just looked at him and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "I'm great." And I said, "You should have gone to Furman. You know that, right?" He said, "Yep, I know that."
That is awesome.
And I was like, I said, "Yep, you should have." But the Citadel guys, down here, they have a lot of pride in what they're doing, and Brent Thompson has done a good job. Houston came in a couple of years ago and really restored a lot of pride and a lot of toughness to the Citadel football team. And, they still going to run the triple option, and they're going to try to pound you and try to control the ball. So, every year is a different story, but, it's fun. And the best part about it is last night having dinner with, had a work dinner, and there were a couple of judges who were there who are very vocal Citadel guys. In fact, one of my truly mentors as a lawyer, as a judge, and Wall Holiday, Malik McCauley, he's an upstate judge, but when I was in law school, I clerked with him when he was in the state Senate, and he's a Citadel guy. And I saw him last night, and he's in his late 60s now, early 70s, and we're just talking about various things about Furman and the Citadel, and he walked up to me. He goes, "Oh, it's my favorite purple pukey." And I was like, "Well, Your Honor, could you get one of your bellhops to take my luggage to the room?" That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot of good bantering back and forth.
Forrest?
Yeah, this year, I guess the story of the game is going to be the Citadel. They're number one in time of possession in the FCS, and Furman is one of the toughest teams to. They have on a streak of not turning the ball over in the last six games, and so I think might come down to who can control the ball better and who if Furman cannot turn the ball over.
Yeah, the thing all the Citadel folks will talk about is the fact if they didn't turn the football over, they'd be undefeated. And with the option offense, you're going to have limited possessions each half. You can tell that Citadel's going to have to wants to control the clock. The thing that's pretty interesting to me is the Citadel defensively is number one in the conference, and I think our toughest game so far has been that Mercer game, and Mercer had a pretty strong defense, and we were just committed to pounding the football against them, and it'd be interesting. There's some thought that if we play a certain way tomorrow, the game could probably end in about 2.5 hours, just simply because that both teams are so committed to running the football. But you're right. We need to win the turnover battle tomorrow. And I think the other thing that you can see, having watched a little bit of Citadel stuff, is their starting quarterback is a good athlete. And I'm gonna say this because I don't want to jinx this, but they have struggled throwing the football. They either have a big play in the passing game, or they really don't get a lot. And if we can force him to pass and not give up the big play in the passing game, because they're going to throw it 7-12 times a game, and if we can limit any kind of damage in the passing game and make them truly one-dimensional, I think that obviously will bode well for us. And Chad Staggs, knock on wood, has had some pretty good success against the Citadel team when he was at Charleston Southern. And he has proven that he has a scheme defensively that can contain the triple option. Is the issue whether or not we can get out there and execute that tomorrow.
I think they average about 17 yards per catch, so that goes to show that whenever they do throw the ball, they throw it
it's
for
feast or famine
yards.
It's feast or famine for them in the passing game.
David Cobb joining us, our network analyst on the football broadcast and the former Paladin, like our buddy Ed Patterson, a member of the '88 national championship team. David Clay Hendricks was talking with him again yesterday, and he said he thinks this is going to be his 24th game with the Citadel, player, assistant coach, and now his first as head coach. So obviously he understands what this game means. And on top of everything else where the rivalry is concerned, Citadel's playing for a winning season because their last game of the year next week is at Clemson, and we all know what that's going to turn into. We're trying to get to the playoffs here at Furman. They would love nothing. This is the other side of a rivalry. They would love nothing more than to come in here, stop our winning streak, and put a halt on our chances to get to the playoffs. I would imagine that Clay has been using that quite a bit to keep his players mindful of exactly how important this game is.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to be playing meaningful football games in November. And, one of the things that I've thought about this week is we used to always have this saying about, each week you wanted to have a, quote, winning performance. You wanted to grade out. You wanted to have that, and it was called a winning performance. Back in the day, you get a little purple star to put on the back of your helmet if you had that, if you graded out a certain way. But then we would talk about when you played the games that mattered. You can't just play a winning performance. You got to play a championship performance. And if you look at our schedule and you look at what's left for us, is we've essentially started the playoffs, because if we lose, one, we have a shot but I don't know how credible it is given the kind of the shenanigans that sometimes go on with the playoff selections and the seedings and so forth. But we essentially, the only thing we can do is win out, and if we win out, we guarantee ourselves a playoff. We guarantee ourselves a championship, and that's the message I'm sure that the coaches are sending to the players is tomorrow you can't just have a winning performance. You've got to have that championship performance. You've got to step it up, and you've got to expect the Citadel team's going to come in. These kids, a lot of them are going, and I think they have 7 or 8 starters who are seniors. Last time they'll play, a lot of pride for them. They're obviously down because they had a game last week that they thought they could have, should have won against Western Carolina. And, it's not, one of the things we could always count on back in the sort of in the 80s and early 90s is the Citadel had some pretty bad teams. But that's not the case now. They've got a pretty good program going on, and they've got a lot of kids who run their system very well. And we've got to physically match up with them. They're big along the fronts. Their defense, they've got a couple of good players on defense who are outstanding players on defense, and we've got to be able to match up and do the things that we do best. And when we don't turn the ball over and we execute our plans, we're a pretty good football team. And when we turn the ball over, if we don't execute, then we kind of struggle a little bit. But it's been fun this year. I mean, it's been exciting to watch what Clay and the guys have done, and bringing back a little bit of the pride and a little bit of excitement back to Paladin.
I've been talking this week with some of the coaches. Talked with Hunter. Asked him this question. Asked Brian Bratton this question. I'll ask you this question. There's a lot of optimism when Clay came, and there's optimism anytime there's a coaching change, because that's the way it works. When a new coach comes in, it's a new start, and you kind of push all the issues aside, and you start thinking positive things moving forward. But this was something different. There was a different vibe to this optimism. Having said that, could you have foreseen this turnaround happening this dramatically and this quickly in year one?
No, and and I think it also plays out in the fact that if you look at it realistically, who would have thought Chattanooga would have the season they are having? And that factored a lot, because a lot of the preseason publications had Chattanooga somewhere between 1, 2, and 3. And as you started going, and at the same time, who would have thought Elon would have had the season they're having? And so you go through it, and what I saw when I looked at the schedule was, frankly, for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years, we didn't have a September schedule that guaranteed us at best 1-3 start, which I've always, one of the things that over the last 5-6 years has been always sort of a concern for me, is that we just overscheduled early in the season, and before you know it, we're behind the 8 ball, which ironically we started out 0-3, and we're able to rally. But no, and I don't think the coaching staff thought they would be 6-3. I knew that they. I knew we would be competitive. I knew we would play hard, because Clay and the guys that I knew that he was bringing over, those are the kind of guys you want to play for. You didn't quite know the system. That I still go back to the idea that 8 months ago we didn't even have a snap count, and these guys. One of the things that George and Brian and Drew and Clay were talking about in May when we had the alumni weekend. Was, we spent hours at one of the fun things as coaches we were doing was trying to figure out what snap count we wanted to use, what terminology did we want to use, and to be able to come in and evaluate who they are. And you talked about last 2 weeks ago on the broadcast, the idea of moving Andy, or maybe it was your interview with George earlier, was the idea of George having the foresight to move Andy Shumpert from wide receiver to tight end, and moving these people and getting the various pieces of the puzzle mixed and moved. And then, the other thing is, you look at, we had 7 true freshmen on the field on defense at Western Carolina. You got to give these guys credit for coming in January, Clay putting a staff together with all of the issues you have at this level with staff, as far as being able to, how much can you pay a certain coach, and putting all those pieces together. And remember, one of the defensive coaches left to take a job with I believe the Falcons. But to be able to have a recruiting class in a couple of essentially 4 weeks, 5 weeks of putting it together, and having a recruiting class that is as strong as it is. I mean, you think about this, the reality is if Ellis and McCoy are not there as true freshman linebackers, if the true freshman corners aren't here, our defense looks completely different. And, it's just a credit to those guys. Grayson Atkins coming in as a kicker. You just give credit to those guys, the coaching staff, not only for what they've done on the field, but also the recruiting, and then and give the players credit for the buy-in, because it's easy when you're 0-3 and you're walking off the field at NC State to sit there and go, oh my God, we got to go on an airplane and go all the way up to Colgate the next week. But we came up that Colgate game and got it going early.
Well, as we get set to wrap it up here, that it's amazing you and I have developed this symmetry, because that leads me right in to the next point. I had a conversation with one of the coaches this morning, and was talking about how quickly things have turned here. And I won't say which one, but he told me, he said, and now it becomes a matter of perspective. When we're 0-3, new staff, new team, people are saying, well, let's just win 3 or 4 games and move on. Now suddenly we've won 6 in a row, playoffs are in sight, and now perspective is if we don't make the playoffs, people are going to be ticked. That's how quickly the perspective has changed in the last 7 weeks, counting the off week, but with 6 straight wins. Fans are a fickle bunch, and this staff can already see that beginning to develop.
Yeah, and I'm sure that without I haven't talked to Clay yet this week, but I'm sure the message the coaching staff has sent to the team has been pretty blunt about the fact is if you want to pat yourselves on the back, you're going to end up being a 6-5 football team. You still got plenty of work to do, and there's still plenty of stuff to play for. And if you think you've accomplished something, you have, but that's only the first step. And in order to have the kind of season that you want to have, that 5, 10, 15 years from now, you can look back and say, hey, this was truly a transitional moment of Furman football. This was truly a realigning moment for Furman football. You got to win these next 2 games, and they're games against 2 pretty good opponents. And so, I'm sure that the coaching staff has done a good job of focusing the kids' attention about where they need to be. And, and the thing is, too, is that you give the kids credit. I mean, these are 18 to 22-year-olds, and, you always have that lull during a season where you don't really play that well. And, we probably didn't play that well against VMI initially. We've had a couple of lulls in some of the games in the middle of the season, which would be natural. Every team goes through that. But by and large, we've shown up and played. And that was always one of the issues for the last couple of years, was whether or not the kids mentally were prepared to play, and if something bad happened, it was okay, well, here you go again. Oh well. But there's a lot of fight and a lot of determination. One of the lasting memories I had for the Western Carolina game was Matt Schmidt, the senior center, at some point during the third quarter, literally down with the defense, challenging the defense. And we haven't seen a lot of that lately, and that's the part that, as a old guy and a competitive guy, you like to see. You like to see the fight, because these kids have worked hard, and they deserve to have that hard work validated. And you're happy for them because it's your school and it's your kids, but you're happy for them because it's showing them the things that they can take with them after football, which is, if you work hard, good things can happen, but you've got to be able to come through that.
Well, David, looking forward to getting together again this week, tomorrow, and seeing how this thing plays out. It's fun. Hopefully we'll have another bevy of highlights that we'll be able to cut up on Sunday, and we'll be talking about a 7th straight win and being one step closer to some postseason action.
Yes, and I just want to leave you my last thought. You know what the Smurfs and the Citadel football team has in common, don't you?
What's that?
They both wear light blue and get laughed at on Saturdays.
Nice.
Well done, sir.
Awesome.
All right, David. Thank you, buddy.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, David. Yes, sir.
That is our good friend David Cobb here on the Dan Scott Show. We'll come back. Scott Keeler will join us to close it out. We'll talk some high school football here in the Upstate. This is the Dan Scott Show on this Friday, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. .10:53 and down the stretch we come. Final segment of the show. Final segment of the week. Yes, sir. Our thanks to David Cobb for basically giving Forrest and I a segment off.
Yes, sir. It was very nice. He was a very colorful interview. I enjoyed that a lot, David.
How you doing, David? 15 minutes later. Thanks for joining us, David. He picked the correct career when he decided to go into law. There's no question about that. Love him. He's become not only a great partner on the broadcast, but a great friend to us, and we're really thankful.
Absolutely.
Let's first I need to tell you about Hall's Chop House, because they have become great friends of ours here on the show. The Greenville Steakhouse downtown. And as I've been telling you folks, if you're going to call yourself the anything of any town, you better be able to back it up. And they back it up by starting off their menu with Allen Brothers Prime Steaks from Chicago, and everything else just falls into place underneath. The food is fantastic. They have meeting space available that can take care of any of your meeting needs corporately, Christmas parties, whatever it may be. They're open for dinner 7 nights a week. They're open for brunch on Sundays, live music every time the doors are open. And when the weather's good, they even have an outdoor patio that you can take advantage of. No reason for you not to check them out. They are great friends of Furman University. They're great friends of the show. We want them to be your friend as well. Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse. Stop by and see them downtown and tell them you heard about them on the show. And that's important for any of our sponsors. You need to go when you do and say, hey, I heard you or saw your graphic, saw your commercial on the Dan Scott Show. Let's close out the week as we do this time of year by talking some high school football. Back to the celebrity guest line, and we welcome in our good friend Scott Keeler, who is joining us now. Scott, week 2 of the playoffs, and last week you guaranteed us better matchups than we saw in week 1. Can you deliver on that guarantee?
Yes, sir. There's a lot of good storylines tonight, and something I don't think has ever happened. There's 4 upper state games in 4A, and 3 of those are hosted by Greenville County schools.
Really?
Yeah, so Greenville County is having a pretty good showing, one weekend. Now, these are all tough matchups, but yeah, if it's okay with you, why don't we kind of go down the line on the Greenville County schools?
I think that's fine. I mean,
yeah. Let's start in 2A. Southside Christian won last week. They're 10-1, and they get a road trip, 150 miles road trip from the upper state playoffs to Lee Central over in Bishopville, who's also 10-1. My wife actually
taught at Lee Central before moving here. She now teaches at Malden, but they were a pretty wretched football program for many years. But like I said, they're 10-1 this year, so tough test for Southside Christian. And that's in 2A, and then in 4A, we have Greenville hosting York, Greer hosting South Aiken, and Eastside hosting Westwood. Interesting thing there is Westwood won at previously unbeaten North Augusta last week, and that's why Eastside gets another home game this week. Eastside has had, I think, one home playoff game since 2002, maybe.
I think it's 3.
And now, and now they've got 2 back-to-back this season. I think those will all be good matchups. York's 9-2, Greenville's 10-1, South Aiken's 9-2, Greer's 10-1, Eastside's also 10-1, and the other 4A matchup in the Upper State, prohibitive favorite South Point hosts BHP. So it'd be a pretty interesting night in 4A. And then in 5A, I think I called last week. I thought Malden had a good shot to win at Rock Hill. They did, 27-7. And now they go face Dorman, who's 9-2. Obviously, a very tough test there. Interesting note on that game: Dave Gutshaw is going for win number 383 for Dorman. That would tie Willie Varner for the second most in South Carolina history. And unfortunately, when you're second most in South Carolina school history, that means you're only about 250 away from John McKissick, whose 621 wins is the most for any football coach ever on any level.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other Greenville County school tonight, Hillcrest hosts Spartanburg. A lot of interesting stuff here. Hillcrest is 9-2, Spartanburg 6-5. Hillcrest has lost 19 straight games to Spartanburg County schools, even winning a state title in 2014. They played no one from the upstate because it was the old days of cross bracketing. So they blasted everyone on their way, but they didn't face a Spartanburg County school. Their last Spartanburg County win was in 2007 against Boiling Springs.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
It's a good stat too.
Yeah, and they're 0-11 lifetime against Spartanburg, and if they snap that string tonight, they face the winner of Gaffney and Northwestern. They're 0-11 against Gaffney and 0-7 against Northwestern lifetime. So a lot of hurdles Hillcrest is trying to overcome. But they have a really solid quarterback, a really solid group of receivers, and it's more like the mental thing. Now, Spartanburg's loaded with talent, obviously, too, because they're Spartanburg. But everyone that pays attention to high school football also probably knows the advantages that Spartanburg County enjoys over Greenville County in terms of number of coaches they can hire and stuff like that. But so a lot of interesting storylines to go with that matchup tonight.
What's going on in the world of 3A?
In 3A, really no, Greenville County schools, but a pretty interesting matchup. I feel bad for the scoreboard at Chapman because it's going to get worn out tonight. Chapman hosts Chester. Chapman's number 1 in 3A. Chapman averages 53 points a game, but Chester only averages 43 points a game. So that should be interesting. Palmetto's over at Seneca. Newberry's at Fairfield Central, and another good matchup after Broome won at Walhalla last week in a battle of top 10 teams. In 3A, Broome Travel State Emerald this week, and another battle of top 10 teams. So Broome was the third place team in that region with Chapman and Newberry, who may be the 2 best teams in 3A, and so Broome is got life on the road in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, that's why playoffs are so much fun, because the deeper you go, the better the matchups are, and you start getting these titans going head to head and moving forward. That's why high school football is so great.
Right.
One of the many reasons high school football is so great.
Mm-hmm. Right, and if Greenville Greer is always a great kind of rivalry. They have the same kind of Green Bay Packers style G on their helmets, and Georgia and Greenwood, and if they're fortunate enough to both win tonight, they meet next week in the third round playoffs. So that'd be a really special game too.
Who would host that game? Do you know?
I believe Greer would have the hosting on that. They're both top seeds, and I don't remember off the top of my head what the bracket looks like, but I do think Greer has that is in that in that slot in the bracket where they'd host that game.
Well, wherever it is, you can guarantee the stands are going to be packed.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
That'll be a fun.
Well, I guess they could pack Serene Stadium, but
that's tough. That is tough.
For a third round playoff game, I think they'd come close.
Yeah, they come close. They definitely pack Dooley Field over Greer, but yeah, Serene, it's got quite a few more seats. So.
Mm-hmm. Which will cut quite a few more tickets to sell.
You got that
right.
You go. Where are you going to be tonight?
I'm actually, I'm kind of doing a freelance thing now, and I really can't turn down, as much as I like to see Furman play basketball, I can't turn down the chance to make a little dough. So I'm going to be at Hillcrest and Spartanburg tonight.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to your coverage on that. I can answer any basketball questions you have after the game tonight. So
there you go.
We'll take care of that.
And if colleges would stop playing this night, this would never be a problem.
Right. Well, and
but everybody does it.
Even at that, it's only going to be a problem for a couple more weeks. So we can get through it. Hey, I know we always try to give you a chance to plug the other things that you're doing. The Furman Sports Report. Tell people about that, and then you got a very special edition of your 864 Living thing coming up, right?
Exactly. Furman Sports Report. I promise I'm going to try to get a little preview on there before they actually play tomorrow. Currently.
Do the preview afterwards, and you can look like Nostradamus.
There you go. I'm actually trying to wrap that up today. And at the 864living.com, my podcast I host each week. We kind of have a Veterans Day podcast this week. I talked with Toya Moore of Goodwill Industries. She was in the Air Force for more than 20 years, and now she works with Goodwill to help veterans find jobs. And she kind of goes beyond that. When they get a job, she kind of stays in contact to make sure everything's going well with that job. And she also helps veterans who want to become entrepreneurs. So just kind of an interesting look at what she does to help our veterans on this Veterans Day kind of episode.
That's fantastic. Scott, we're looking forward to seeing how all these games turn out and getting to next week's third-round matchups. It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir.
And then I guess we'll see you here tomorrow at Paladin Stadium, right?
Yep, I'll see you all then.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, thank you.
That's Scott Keeler, and that's our weekly look at the world of high school football. Trivia.
All right. The question is, what is Furman's longest winning streak against the Citadel Bulldogs in school history?
We should have asked David that question.
He should know that answer, actually, based on when it happened. I'm kind of giving the answer away by saying that.
So I'm going to guess it happened sometime in the 80s.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So the answer is 9 from 1982 to 1990, and I believe Ken or Mark got that one right earlier in the show. So congrats to them for getting that right, and hopefully the Paladins will start a new streak tomorrow in Paladin Stadium at 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
right here.
We'll have all that for you. So here's what's happening from a broadcast standpoint. Starting with men's basketball tonight, we will be on the Furman IMG Sports Network, which is Fox Sports 1440, and you'll be able to hear it on the Campus FM and all of our online areas as well, beginning with the pregame show at 6:30. It'll also stream with I think a 2-camera setup on the SoCon digital network. So we're doing it instead of a normal, what would be an ESPN3 style broadcast, which would simulcast on the radio. We're actually going to do a radio broadcast, which will stream onto SoCon Digital Network. So you're going to get to hear not only me, but both Tom Van Hoy and Bryant Lambert, who will be there for the broadcast tonight. So we're looking forward to that. And then that's at 6:30 with the tip-off at 7 o'clock, Furman and Bob Jones to open the season. And then tomorrow, 2 o'clock start for Furman and the Citadel. We will be on the air on the network beginning at 12:45 with the Southern Fried Cotton pregame show.
Oh, yeah.
So we are all fired up.
Get your earbuds ready for tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, we will probably numb your ears between now and the end of Tuesday.
Oh man,
basketball tonight, football tomorrow, coaches show Sunday, off Monday. Besides this show, and then Tuesday night basketball. We got a lot of stuff happening in that short period of time.
You will know what your voice sounds like pretty well, Dan, I'd say.
Yeah, well, just as long as I can keep it, that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
That'll do it for us. Thank you for your attention. We will see you. I guess you'll be here tomorrow as well, right?
I'll be here.
You'll be
at
soccer today, too?
Yeah, we'll be there at soccer and basketball tonight, and basketball on Sunday.
Sounds like a plan.
So,
until tonight at Timmons Arena, you folks have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget, one final reminder. Still plenty of time to get tickets for this game tomorrow here at Paladin Stadium. And if you buy them online and use the code HOLYTOLEDO, you will save $5 off the cost of each ticket that you purchase.
We got to pack the stadium tomorrow, fellas.
They are bringing 10 busloads of cadets up here. So we need every purple shirt we can get in the stands, and let's make this the best atmosphere that we've had this season and the best atmosphere we've had in the 7 years now that I've been here. Holy Toledo is your code online at FurmanPaladins.com to save $5 per ticket cost. And let's roll out and let's bang on the bellhops tomorrow here at Paladin Stadium. For Forrest Stulting, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody. We will talk to you again show-wise on Monday.